You're making 100K right now. I will help you get to 200K. And I know that for a fact because I've done that for myself. So I really think like conviction just is everything when it comes to agent attraction. Like, do you believe in what you're doing? I was a federal agent for the Air Force. I separated as a major. In the very beginning, I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't know anything about being self-employed. So my first year I was part-time because I was still active duty. I was just like putting stuff out there, not even thinking about who is my audience. I did more 50-50. I did 50% effort, mental and physical effort into production, 50% into recruiting.
How to identify your target market. What are the mistakes you made then and what are you doing now to sort of curb those?
Like, so my videos will basically be like my lessons learned.
When you say, hey, I know I can help this person, what does that mean specifically?
So I'll start with the process first. When we meet on Zoom, I'm not trying to cover stuff that you could have Googled. I'm spoon feeding it to them. How do I make them a repeat client at the end? How do I get a 5-star review every single time? And it's like a boot camp because it's a lot.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, wow. Have I got a treat for you today? Welcome back to another incredible episode of Fast Attract. Today is going to be super exciting. Why? Because we have Ali the agent, and that's a dual meaning. She'll touch base on why that is here in a minute and where that name comes from. But she has been absolutely crushing it in agent attraction. It should be Ali the Attractor, Ali the Agent Attractor. Ooh, anyways, I'm not gonna mess with your title. You got a lot of cool stuff. I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna let you tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself, and then talk about some of the successes that you've had specifically as it relates to agent attraction over the last 12, 18 months.
Tony, thank you so much for having me. And I will think about the Ali, the Agent Attractor. Yeah, I could do something with that.
That's free. You got there. You're welcome.
The giving community.
There you go.
Yeah. So prior to me being a real estate agent, I was a federal agent for the Air Force. So I spent a decade in active duty. I separated as a major, and I knew that I didn't want to be, continue being an Air Force officer. So I left. I was like, what can I do to like work myself? Right. So I got my license, and I've been a licensed agent for 3.5 years so far. And I have attracted 80 people into my community. And I think out of those 80, the majority of them came from a mixture of online, like Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. But then also the reason they even reached out to me online, or we started a conversation online, is because of the production that I was doing. So in 3.5 years, I've closed over 115 transactions. I currently have 55 outbound referrals because of a post that recently went viral. Yeah, baby, let's go. And I love what I do now, which is like, so I really think like conviction just is everything when it comes to agent attraction. Like, do you believe in what you're doing?
That's huge. Thank you. Wow. First off, thank you for your service, right? I had the opportunity to serve in the Marines, actually. And I was going to join the Air Force, which is a whole nother story. It didn't work out. They all say that. I ended up in the Marine Corps.
They all say that. I was going to join the Air Force. No, that's cool. Thank you for your service.
Yeah. So anyways, okay. So let's go deep here, right? Let's talk first about the production side, right? Because you said earlier that it was really the production that drove the influencer thing. So how do you balance sort of the production versus the agent attraction, or is it all sort of mixed in together? How do you balance the time of like, hey, I got to service all these clients? You said how many transactions in a year? You said 150 in like 3 years, right? So is that 50 a year, or what does that look like?
Yeah, roughly. I did. So my first year I was part-time because I was still active duty because I didn't know. I'm very, very risk averse, right? I don't want to like just jump off the cliff and just hope that I have a parachute, so I wanted to make sure that I liked being a real estate agent, that I was going to make money, that I was going to make more than what I was making as an active duty major. So after the first year I did 24 transactions, then it was about like 40 and then 50-ish, like very, very ballpark. So that was that. And I really think that as I was putting content out there of just like my normal day, like, hey, I plan on doing 2 open houses this weekend, or this is what I did to attract some clients. I was just like putting stuff out there, not even thinking about who is my audience, which is not the way to go. I will not suggest this, but in the very beginning, I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't know anything about being self-employed. So I was just putting as much stuff as, my day to day. Hey, don't forget about me. I am a real estate agent, whether you're looking to join me or whether you're looking at, for one of my referral agents in in a military base near you. That's what super, super helped. And since then, it's been that constant balance, like to actually answer a question of like, should I focus more so on agent attraction? Should I focus more so on production? And in the beginning, it was production because I needed to make money. I wanted to make sure that I could make money in this business before I left a pretty secure, W-2 of making 120. So it was production. And then after that, that's when I saw people reach out to me saying, hey, I'm not making nearly as much money and I'm a full-time agent. Like, can you kind of show me the ropes? So then my second year, which was my first year of doing business full-time as an agent, my second year with EXP was mainly focused on agent attraction. I focused like so much more so on agent attraction. I would say like 70-30. 70% was me focused on agent attraction. And then my third year, I realized it didn't pay as much. So at the time, because I was like starting out,
Sure.
so I'm like,
those agents got to sell, right, in order for it to pay off.
so I'm like talking to people and I'm not talking to teams. So at the time, after my second year of being like full-time trying like just to recruit, I didn't have as much income compared to production, of course. So then my third year, I did more 50-50. I did 50% effort into like mental and physical effort into production, 50% into recruiting. And I also switched my marketing. Instead of me just posting outbound, I really just decided to make a YouTube channel and post, and whoever it attracts, it attracts. With that come a lot of lessons learned as far as making sure that your message is correct. So that way you're not attracting a person that you may not be able to help the best. So I covered a lot there, but I get back into that.
No, I love it. So then let's go a little deeper on how to identify your target market, right? So what were the mistakes you made then? And then what are you doing now to sort of curb those?
Yeah. So in the very, very beginning, it was me as a brand new agent, when I was just posting, documenting whatever I was doing, I was sending the message of, hey, I'm a part-time agent and I made $120,000 my first year. And after that, I realized that that's like my number one performing YouTube video right now. And I don't have a huge YouTube follower, by the way. Like, you don't need a big following.
Put that in perspective, right? So how big is not big needed?
So when I first started, I had like 2,000 people on my Instagram followers, whatever they're called. And then I didn't even have a YouTube,
well,
so
whatever
like,
it's called. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
whatever it's called. And then for YouTube, I have like 1,600, like not a lot. And this has been 3 years in the or 2 years in the making. So of like pumping out a video almost every 2 weeks. So it's not overnight, like it's definitely, it takes effort. And so going back to like my lesson learned of putting out the wrong message, my wrong message, it could be definitely the right message for someone else, was as a brand new agent, as a part-time agent, I made $120,000. Look at me go. And that attracted people that were also wanting to be part-time
agents
that were new and that thought that it was just very easy. So to this day, I debate about putting that video like unlisted or private because it just sends out the wrong message. Since then, I've rewinded and I've made out other videos saying you can make $120,000 as a part-time agent, but it is not easy. Like, I had 2 full-time jobs, like I had my Air Force and then I spent another 30 hours a week at least in real estate. So it doesn't come easy. So that was a huge lesson learned. Now I am actually focused on helping agents. My niche now is helping agents that are already quote unquote seasoned. Everyone can define seasoned differently, but my seasoned is you're making 100K right now. I will help you get to 200K. And I know that for a fact because I've done that for myself. Like my first year I did 120 and since then I've done over 200K every year. And this year is going to be well more than that, almost double. So that kind of like goes into the mental stuff of like, I didn't want to just say that I could like help out broker owners or team leaders because I never even led a team for myself. Some people can do that. Some people can just talk the talk and then without walking the walk. I can't do that. I can only like truly feel good about myself at night if I'm putting out a message that I know is a fact, like because I've lived it and no one can take that away from me.
So don't fake the funk, right? If I can paraphrase that, right? Don't try to be something you're not. And you don't got to be Gary Vee. You don't got to be, some huge social media. You got to be Taylor Swift or Mr. Beast in order to get what you're trying to get out of this thing, right? You got 1,200 whatchamacallits and then 1,500 thingamajiggers on the other platform. But that's all you need to grow, right? When you find your target audience and you speak to your target audience, it makes that huge huge impact for you. So absolutely. And you're telling them again, and I love how you said earlier, it's more about documentation than creation, right? So just documenting what you're doing as opposed to like, oh, I got to think of something to talk to this audience about. No, just follow me. Like, hey, this is what I did. It worked for me. It may work for you too if you're interested. Now, what is your call to action, or kind of what's your formula for the videos that you put out?
Really good question. So in each of my videos, I pretty much have two places where I insert the call to action. Typically, the call to action is it's twofold. I always have two, and they kind of say to do one, but it pretty much means one. It's just two different routes of getting there. If you know already that you want to join me at EXP because you've watched enough of these videos and you know that you are a self-starter, you're a go-getter, and you would fit into our community from what I've said, like, by the way, a quick distractor, I make these videos now almost as a filter. Like, I want to show you that it is such a hard business and you have to be 100% committed. And I said that in the videos too. And I'm like, and you're 100% committed. I can't take 99. I need 100% commitment. If that's you, then you can go ahead and apply directly with the link below. Otherwise, if you want to schedule a call about it first, before you want to just straight up apply. So option one is apply already. And then option two is book the call and you and I will meet one-on-one.
Wow. I love it. And then as far as the video itself goes, do you have, normally like you follow the hook and then engaging content and then the call to action inside the video, or is it the inside the video? Do you put the call to action in the link or description, or both?
So I put the link to join me at EXP in the description. That's number one. And then the second link is the Calendly call for a 30 or 45-minute call. And then from there, I ask all 10 questions. Calendly can have up to 10 questions, and I have all 10 because I want to make sure that they would be a good fit. Like, what are your goals? What have you worked on it so far? Like, what are you specifically looking for in a brokerage, and why us? And the last question, which is so funny, I have a radio button, 3 buttons, and it's with the goals that you say above that you have. How committed are you to getting there? Is it like, not so much, I'll do whatever it takes, or somewhere in between? And very rarely do people say, I'll do whatever it takes. I'm like, that's crazy. Wow. Like, people always say like, somewhere in the middle. Like, then that's not 100% commitment. So I'm starting to now, I don't want to say deny calls, but I know who I best service. And it's the people that are 100% full-time agents, want to do this to make money for whatever they want to do. Yeah.
So you have them effectively select themselves out of the call if possible. And then that way you only end up with the meat, right? You only end up with the highest converting opportunities that that you can help. And that's why they are high converting, because you can help them. You're able to speak to them with confidence and competence because I've been right where you're standing and you're committed. So let's do this thing.
Exactly. And it's pretty hard to say no when you're first starting out. If you've never said no to a client or to an agent, it hurts. But at the same time, like, after reading, I think it's like The Pumpkin Patch or something like that by like Michalowicz, the guy who wrote Profit First.
Oh wow. Okay. I love Profit First. I didn't know he had another book.
He has something called like The Pumpkin Plan or something like that.
Yeah. He talked about it in the book. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, if you prune out the bad pumpkins, your pumpkins that you already have are going to grow so much more because just to like trim the fat. So that's what I'm trying to do is I know exactly who I can help. And if you're not one of them, usually they just self-select out. And so it hurts to say no in the beginning, but it will then put so much more of an emphasis on like, this is my crew.
My tribe.
Exactly.
And so this is going to transition maybe a little bit away from attraction, but we'll come back. So away from attraction into sponsorship a little bit, right? So when you say, hey, I know I can help this person, what does that mean specifically when they get here and they're like, hey, I book a call with you. What does the conversation look like on the call first and foremost? And then once they make the decision to say yes to you, what does that look like once you decided to bring them on board?
Yeah. Like, what do they get? Great question. So I'll start with the process first. When they book a call, if they don't apply directly, which 50-50 now they're doing 50% book a call, 50% just book directly.
When you say book directly, you mean like just hit the join app?
Apply.
Wow.
Yeah, just apply naming me as a sponsor. Yeah. So the 50% that book a call, I have a video for them to watch. And it's a video that I've made about EXP. It talks about the basics, like, because I don't want to go into a call. And I say this in my public videos too. When we meet on Zoom, I'm not trying to cover stuff that you could have Googled. Please save our time. I want to have a higher level conversation with you to see if EXP is actually the right fit for you, depending on what your goals are. I'm like very militaristic, if you can't tell. So that's what we talk about. They have already watched the maybe 15-minute YouTube video that I have on the splits, the caps, icon, teams, all that. So they have the basic foundation. If they have extra questions, like, perfect, that's what they're here for. But mainly it's how can we help each other? So once they join, what do they get? I love my checklists. I'm more than happy to give out my buyer agent checklist. So like, for those that are starting out,
whatever you're willing to share,
absolutely,
our agents will love it and eat it up for sure. Yep.
Yeah. I have a checklist checklist for buyer agents if they want to focus on buyers, like front to end. How do I make them a repeat client at the end? How do I get a 5-star review every single time? The same thing for listing seller checklist, listing agent checklist, outbound referral checklist, which is what a lot of people I think in the military community will do because they know a lot of people PCSing and moving elsewhere, not to where they actually serve. And then I also have an open house playbook. I have your first 90 days in case they are new and they just sign up directly. Like, here you go. Here's your first 90 days of exactly what to do. And then I have a social media one, like content, your first 90 days of just doing content. And it's like a boot camp because it's a lot. So yeah, that's what I give them. And as well as like a private 12 video series on YouTube explaining how to use EXP. Because I have found that the agents that have left EXP thinking that they didn't have support never even knew where to find support, didn't even try to look for the support. So here it is, me sharing my screen of, Sky Slope, KV Core, Bomb, everything. Like, and here are all the emails to email if you have a question about your transaction, your website. Here's how to build your website. I'm spoon feeding it to them because it's a lot. When you onboard, it's a lot. But I don't want the reason people to leave is to think that they didn't have support from EXP because that is wild. You have to have closed your eyes.
No, for sure. I mean, we have literally 24/7 support. I mean, it doesn't get much better. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the software maybe that you're using. Are you using like Go High Level or are you using KV Core, HubSpot? Like, what are you using for your landing page where you have the video?
So for my CRM, I use KV Core, and where I push people to is actually my own website. I use not the EXP website. I set up a different one, and so that's where I can have like a couple of different videos on there, which still get views, through YouTube, so it counts. And then and then I have my Calendly in there. So there's like a page for seasoned agents. There's a page for broker owners and like testimonials and stuff like that, and like a couple of free resources, like the buyer agent checklist. So if you like there's more of that.
Got it. So they go to your website that you've built yourself, right? Just sort of all, GoDaddy or whatever, like your own website that you built. On that website, you're saying, hey, watch this video before you booking a call. They watch the video, they book the call right there on your website. Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So it's a separate landing page that you built.
Separate. Yes.
Okay.
And
all right.
just
But
to clarify,
then when they fill it out, does it go through KV Core? Like when they put their information there, does that feed to your KV Core? Okay.
Yep. So I have like a Zap, and I'm not the most well versed with Zapier, but I have a couple. I have a couple out there.
You don't gotta be like it's case in point. You don't gotta be super techie, right?
Yeah.
One or two things, and that'll get you 80 agents in a couple years. So
yeah, and that's another lesson learned too. Is like originally I did try to just hire a virtual assistant out in the Philippines to build the website, and it just wasn't quite what I was going for. Then I used a company called Liftoff. So they're pretty good. That's who hosts my website now. They're very fast. I like them, and they talk more about strategy. Like, what's the point of this page? Before we just talk about colors, what's the point of this page? I'm like, oh, that's a good question.
Right. What do you want it to do? All right, let's start there. Okay, so let's talk through sort of some of the relationships, right? So a lot of folks that do the attraction through production thing, they're also utilizing the relationships they have with the agents on the other side of those deals, right? So that can be if I'm a listing agent, I've got buyers touring my homes, I can reach out to them. On the other side, if I'm, a buyer's agent, I'm touring homes, right? So I may be in touch with a bunch of listing agents and things like that, or obviously the agent that you get under contract with and you go down the road to closing with as a referral source. Do you utilize those as well, or is it 100% like inbound opportunities? Do you do any outbound at all?
I do outbound, yes. Not through cross agents. I've kind of like felt the waters a little bit, but usually at that point we're not there yet. Either I have negotiated so much where it's like,
they don't like you anymore because you beat them up on the price. I love
Honestly,
it.
I think that's it. Or like, of course, I try to have like a friendly transaction because I want them to accept my offer again in the future. But sometimes I'll ask the question, but none have come through that. Like, so my second year of me trying to do full-time agent attraction, that was mainly outbound, and it was outbound through Instagram, Facebook. Mainly that was it. And I used to stop by at some
like
people's open
DMs, like
houses.
cold DMs or what?
Yeah. Or like responding to comments. So now every single person that follows me on Instagram, I don't have an autoresponder, but I do have a saved message on Instagram where you can like save a reply. And so I have it with like the phrases like follow. So I'm like, hey, Tony, thank you so much for the follow. Are you here for the content, or are you looking to improve your business or increase your business? And that just starts a conversation. If they ignore me, fine. That's totally cool. But I figure like Instagram is like a storefront. You step into my store. Love to have you. Thanks for following. Let's start a conversation if you want. But the reason I don't have like a Zap or any sort of automation for that is because I don't want it to seem impersonal. So I don't just put Tony. I put Tony with like 13 Y's at the end. Like, Tony, thanks for the follow. Yeah. So year 2 was outbound. Year 3, now that I'm focused more so on like, I'm really, really trying to take into heart like the 80-20 rule of just focusing on the 20%. It's all inbound now. So my YouTube videos, I'm going
You gotta come to me.
100%. Yeah. I'm making 100 YouTube, long form YouTube videos on that, on my channel.
So, and when you say long form, give me a time range. Like, what are we talking? Because that can mean different things to different folk. Like Joe Rogan thinks that long form is like 3.5 hours. So I imagine you're not doing that.
Yeah. No, my long form is on average like 19-20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty long.
So give us some ideas around some of the content that you're producing. And again, you're just documenting, or are you actually planning, storyboarding, like doing the whole thing?
I document with like a little bit more of homework behind it. So
Okay.
I just made a video, like, so my videos will basically be like my lessons learned, like, hey, in 2024, I made this much. So I share my trackers, like I share my screen of my trackers because I'm maniacal about tracking. I track everything. How many conversations do I have every single day of the week over week, year over year? So I talk about like the ROI, the best ROI for me was, YouTube, or it was Instagram, or is my sphere, etc. But I share my screen, I give them a visual, and it also doubles as like a, hey, this is exactly what you're going to get when you join me. It's like, if you are also the tracking type, the one that wants to like actually put numbers, not just like a feeling behind your business, like I'm your person. Yeah, I pretty much like use the resources, not really on purpose to show them like, hey, this is what you get when you join me, but it's like, hey, I'm using this checklist, and I know that I had, 32,000 conversations, and that led to 13 closings, or whatever it is. That's pretty much what I do.
And when you talk about the ideas of sort of tracking, right? And are you using Sisu for that? Or you use a spreadsheet, Notion? Like what do you do for tracking?
I use Google spreadsheets.
Google Sheets.
I'm stoked that EXP is partnered with Sisu. I haven't, and I think they think they recently add the team part of it. Okay,
Yes.
because that's what I
Well,
was
they
waiting
will
for.
be soon.
Yeah, because I love every month I have like a leaderboard, and it's like equivalent to what you would have on Sisu, but I just like do it manually, and I just post it on Canva, and I post it on Instagram. So it's like, hey, Tori Borges out of Pensacola, Florida, closed 27 homes in 2024. Person being new to the state of Florida. So it's like rewarding people, but also competition, and it's like
that's awesome. And then let's talk about also like on these calls, right? So when someone does book you, whether it's through DM or however they get to you, they watch the video and now they're on a call with you. What does your script sound like? What is your dialogue? What's that conversation look like to convert them?
Yeah. So I typically have 3 parts. So in the beginning of the call, we have it for 45 minutes scheduled. Usually they start out with saying, oh my gosh, like I'm so excited to meet you. It's like, it's a great, start. And
well, they know.
I tell them
they've consumed hours, and they've spent hours with you, right? Your first time meeting them, but they've spent hours with you.
Yes. Yeah. So I tell them this call is going to be 3 parts. The first part is going to be answering any burning questions that you have, because you're going to be focused on that if I just start talking, about whatever. The second part is going to be about what specifically your goals are. And it's all about them. So it's all about them. Like, what are your goals? Why are you switching brokerages? And why us? And then the third part is, if I think that this would be a good fit, and not always is it a good fit, then the third part is going to be showing you where to apply. And I'll also send you the email. So just send me the code once you have the reference code, once you've signed up, so that I can follow your progress and help you out. And then I'm like, all right, does it sound good? And they're like, yeah, that sound good. And so then I saw it with any burning questions. Usually they have a couple, and that kind of tells me which area they're interested in. Is it stocks? Is it revenue share? Is it their own production? Is it making icon? And then we go down that rabbit hole. No call is the same, because everyone is interested in different things. That's how the call goes.
I love that. The fact that you separated into those 3 parts, and the last part, it's setting the expectations up front. And by the way, the expectations that you're going to join EXP, because like the last part of our 3-part dialogue is here's how to join, right? And you're kind of assuming the sale and the whole thing. So that's incredible. So when the conversation comes up, or maybe elevator pitch, well, let's do that. Do you have an elevator pitch for EXP? Just, hey, what is EXP in your words? How does EXP support agents? Kind of what's the story of EXP?
So I'm actually in the middle of switching my own elevator pitch for EXP, because I'm so focused on like the 80-20 now, where now what I say is like, it is no it. Like, their motto is where the pros go to grow. And that is 100% true. If you're looking for, in-person spoon feeding, like hand holding, you may be able to find that on a team in person in EXP, but that's not really the place to go. If you're looking to increase your volume, increase your transactions, take a step back, build a team, eventually leave and retire, then EXP is something to definitely consider. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it now.
Got it. Okay. So, and what was it before though?
Before it was it was focused on the cloud base. Like, hey, you don't have to go into an office. Like this is, like you can work from home and it's flexible with a heavy emphasis on brand. And I still have that. Because a lot of people are like, hey, but I want my own brand. And or, I don't want to use EXP's brand. I don't want to use my team leader's brand, depending on team leader roles is a different thing. But EXP wants you to have your own personal brand. So I mean, look at me, I'm on YouTube.
And then as far as your agents go that are in your organization, do you help them grow as well? Or kind of what does that look like once they're on board? Besides just the production piece, do you help them sort of with agent attraction as well?
Yeah, for those that are interested, because not many are.
Sure.
And that's okay. So like I would say out of the 80 in my community, and it's not all 80 frontline, it's 80, some have attracted some.
Total.
I would say maybe like 5% are interested. So out of those, my upline has like a weekly Zoom call. Micah Mruat, she hosts like a bunch of people together. Very, very few are interested, but I think that's because they just don't understand it. Like you won't understand it until you like feel it, until you see money hitting your checking account. That's when you're like, oh wait, this is better than all my rental properties combined. Yep. And which is true. So okay. I'm an investor. A lot of us in my community are, and I'm like the ROI of revenue share versus all of my, 8 properties put together is night and day. Like revenue share wins. So,
and when you add the fact that, how much you invest, right, in the revenue share side versus how much you had to invest and keep investing and fixing the toilets and so on. So
yes. Yeah. Managing the property managers. Yeah.
Okay. So let's transition a little bit, maybe to social media a bit more. Now you track everything, which is that makes these kind of conversations easy. What is the most effective or highest converting platform, right? Because you mentioned Instagram, you've mentioned YouTube. Are you on Facebook as well, or kind of what's your dynamic split?
Yeah. So my highest converting is in order of platforms is Facebook and then Instagram and then YouTube. I'm actually trying to switch it to YouTube because I found that the person now that is joining me from YouTube are those that are switching brokerages. They're not brand new. So they know enough to know what they want now. I'm actually kind of swapping all 3. Maybe that's smart, maybe that's not. But on Facebook, it was originally me posting just whatever I did. I have a big military network, and like those are the main followers of my Facebook and my Instagram following, people that already know me for the most part. But YouTube is complete strangers. So it's like me posting out, and then whoever YouTube thinks should watch my video, it puts it in front of them. And so I don't know them. And therefore I'm tapping into a different segment, a different section of people that I have never spoken to. So I'm actually focusing on the reverse. So I hired a YouTube agency, and they're helping me with production, editing, thumbnails, titles, description, all of that. Up until now, I've hired a ton of different virtual assistants out in the Philippines to help me with that. And I still have some of those for my other channels, but that's my number one focus right now is YouTube, because it's evergreen. On Instagram and Facebook, it was great. It had the best ROI on money, not the best ROI on time and effort. I had to post every single day just to maintain hey, Tony, remember me?
There's no shelf Tuesday. Life. Yeah,
exactly. So YouTube lives forever. So that's why I'm like, even though it's the lowest ROI out of those 3, because there are other lower ROIs that I just don't spend time on, like TikTok or Threads exactly. Right. Yeah. It works for others, doesn't work for me right now. So I'm just posting more on YouTube. I'm going all in on YouTube.
I love it. Are you comfortable sharing the firm you hired?
Yeah. She actually DM'd me. She emailed me, cold email, and which I never respond to.
Cold email works, man. When it works, it works. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. So first of all, I was like, wait, she has like excellent grammar, so this is good.
English is first language. Check. Got it. Like that's what we want to speak in for this.
Yeah. So I'll cut the story short, but her name is Lily. So Lily Media. She's actually an investor as well. I saw her own YouTube, and she has like hundreds of thousands of subscribers. So that's where I'm like, okay, you're not just talking the talk. I see your channel and it's really good. And I have less than 2,000 and you have like 100 million times that. So yes, I will hire you. So far so good. She has like a small team, small agency, Lily Thompson. So yeah, I'm sure you can Google her. And like a couple of editors on the team, a couple of managers, and so far so good. We're new into it though. We're 2 months in.
Now, how do you balance, or what's your plan to balance EXP promotional content versus like your own brand content versus just like, hey, this is engaging content that people will find interesting? What is your strategy around that?
Yeah, really good question. And it's something that I still think about now. I don't quite have the answer to that. What I am doing is some people have already joined EXP and they want my resources resources. So I do actually all those checklists, I have started to try to capitalize on that because I've gotten enough inbound DMs from other people in EXP saying that they want my resources. So now it is for sale. I started a Skool. Sometimes I just post about Skool, sometimes my Skool community. Sometimes I just post about EXP. Sometimes it's both. Like, hey, by the way, if you're already with EXP, like I can still help you now. It is at, for purchase, but you'll get everything, almost everything, 99% of everything of what I give to my downline. So that's a way for me to like help and also still capitalize on the in-betweeners there, those that have already joined EXP.
I love it. So you have the Skool community, Skool, the Alex Ramosi deal, right? How's that experience been? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm very new into it, but I like it so far. I like that you can have it like very clearly in the Skool classroom, quote unquote. You can see how many courses or bundles people have. You can read the description in those. So if you go to Skool, my URL is just Ali, just ALI, skool.com/Ali, I think is what it is. Like very simple. So I don't know how I got that one. I was like,
check, you got that one. Yeah.
Cool.
Money. Yeah.
Yeah. So I give some like freebies there for anyone that wants to check out. I have 2 freebies there. And I pretty much state in there, I'm like, hey, if you want more of this, this is exactly what I give in the white belt bundle and the black belt bundle. So I have 2 different bundles. The white belt are for those that are brand new, like they don't know anything yet. What do I even post? How do I help a buyer? So that's where the buyer checklist, the seller checklist, the referral checklist, my real estate Bible, which is 200 plus page document of everything I know about real estate sales. Like everything I know is in that. And I'm like, oh, should I be like even putting this out there? But whatever.
Hey, it'll come back.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have like a section for, new agents, which is the white belt bundle. And then once they've done that and they're comfortable with that, then they're ready for the black belt bundle, which is for experienced agents.
Got it. Okay. And then the next question would be, anytime we're talking about social media, you get this sort of negative side of it, right? So the comments and the arguing and the EXP this and EXP that, right? How do you deal with the negative comments, whether there's stuff coming about you or coming about EXP or like, hey, your nose is too big? I don't think your nose is too big. I just picked that out of the blue, by the way. But like whatever, like how do you deal with that stuff, the negative side of social media nastiness?
Yeah.
Because it prevents agents from getting started. Like they're worried about what Johnny Pants 72 is going to say if they post something, wrong. So what are your thoughts on that? What would you tell someone?
And that's like a super valid concern to have in the beginning. So I'm like a pretty sensitive person. Like I am like, I'm very sensitive. And
is that the Air Force? I'm giving you a hard time because, I was in the Marines. So, I had to.
Oh man.
I'm sensitive. Yeah, I get it.
That is so funny. Yeah, it must be. That's why I joined the Air Force. So I'm like a very sensitive person. And I realized that, first of all, if there are people commenting anything negative, that means that the platform is pushing you out to a new audience. So that's a good thing. Like once you get haters, that means it's complete strangers. And that's the algorithm pushing your shit out. So congratulations. If you start getting
those comments push you up as well, right? In any sort of engagement, that's called engagement, right? That helps the algorithm.
100%. Yeah. But like going deeper into it, if you see a comment that actually hurts you, maybe it's just mental, like, is there something that you have to get over? But you as the content creator, not the person, trolling, that if something actually offends you, that means that in your mind, there may be some level of truth to it. First of all, I don't usually like respond back unless it's like just with facts, like very, very black and cold. Like actually, if you read the caption, this was on BAH for Tucson, Arizona, not for military, anyway, that's the post that went viral recently and everyone's like, Cap, you're lying. I'm like, this is for Tucson. I didn't know it'd go viral.
Right.
So it's like, it's either black and white, like, hey, this person's just like so incorrect. It just doesn't even make a difference. Like that's not worth responding. But if something like actually truly hurts you, and of course I can't even like think of an example right now, there may be some truth to it. So then like, if it's like a level of incompetence, like, like made you feel stupid or made you feel dumb, you can counteract that by just digging into not the regs, but like the rules or like, you can counteract that with knowledge, because if someone were to say, Ali, you're, something just like completely incorrect. You're wearing
let me help you out, right?
Now.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So I was at an NLP seminar not 2 weeks ago. That's exactly what the speaker did. He's like, he had someone stand up and the person's wearing a black shirt, right? And he's like, people in white shirts are ugly and disgusting, and that's the most terrible white shirt I've ever seen in my life. It doesn't fit you, and you got, fat hanging out and blah, 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 blah. But like none of those things were true, right? Because she's wearing a black shirt and she's thin and, the whole thing. So only if there's a shred of truth to it. Like if you're wearing a green shirt and someone's talking about green shirts, then you may have, hey, like, look, does this thing fit me or no? Is it an ugly shirt? I don't know. You may have to check. But if you're not, then it's like, what are we even talking about, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. Like if someone were to call me or anyone like fat and that hurts you, if you are fat, like that's going to hurt because there is some level of truth to it. So like you don't have to just get offended, work on it. And like there's always a way to work on it until it becomes such a complete false statement that it doesn't even bother you. If someone were to say, Allie, you're wearing a white shirt, or Allie, these numbers are incorrect. I know for a fact the numbers are not incorrect. So it doesn't bother me. But then also if like to give, I guess, like a level of tactical, like a tip, you may want to hire somebody just to delete the comments. If you don't even want to read them, if reading the comments is going to ruin your day, hire someone to manage your, YouTube account to delete the comments. By the way, that sounds like I hired Lily to do that. I don't have enough for bad comments yet. Hopefully they'll come.
Yeah. I wish you all the bad comments in the world, Allie. I really, really do. I hope you get more than you know what to do with, and you got to hire somebody. So
yeah, but it's a lot of like just it's either some level of truth or they're just so hurt themselves. Right. And it's like not.
And in so doing, they're actually helping you, right? So it's important to frame it, have the right mindset to it, and then you can simply ignore it, or you can actually work on like, hey, maybe I wasn't as clear, maybe I didn't explain it right. Are these the accurate numbers for EXP? Well, looks like they actually are. So you kind of go in and post it. So I love that. Okay, so as we sort of wrap up here, and you've dropped so much bombs, so much knowledge on us. It's been absolutely incredible spending time with you. Give us sort of, you got to start from scratch. You wake up tomorrow morning, your entire organization is gone. You're starting from scratch in a new market, no longer Tucson. You're in, I don't know, New Mexico, and you want to focus on Asian attraction. What should your next 90 days look like? Give us the action items. What are you going to do day 1 to build into day 30 to 60 to 90 days? What do you do daily action wise?
Super good question. I love this question. Well, first of all, I am in a new market. I'm actually living in St. Paul, Minnesota right now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep. I moved.
I was wondering, like, because you said there was like snow, and I was like, in Tucson? Okay. Well, listen, none of my business. Let's get into the interview.
That's funny.
But yeah, I was wondering.
So what I would do, this is what I would do. I would look at my past transactions and find stats to talk about, like brag about me stats, like your resume. I closed XYZ in 1 year. Whatever you did that not the average agent has done, whether that's listings, closing, selling above list price, whatever it is.
You got volume. There's always something. Yep.
Yeah, there is something. And then once you have like talking points and like stats that you can talk about, I would focus 100% on YouTube. I would make a YouTube channel and just not in a braggy way, but in like a sharing, like, hey, this is how I closed 150 deals in 3.5 years.
And I'm sorry, just I want to touch on this because this is big. So, first and foremost, ChatGPT is here to help. Okay. So one thing you can do is just like upload, like, hey, I've done this, I've done this, and then it can give you some ideas on things that you can brag about or create a narrative for you. So that's one thing. I love this idea also of if you did one deal last year, you did more than the vast majority of real estate agents. Let's just keep it real, right? If you did 5 deals, if you did 10 deals last year, you would think, oh, that's not even a capper. Maybe it's a capper depending on price points or whatever it is. But if you capped last year, meaning you did 6 to 10 deals, that's a big deal by comparison to the rest of the market. Certainly newer agents that you can lead. So a lot of times people are like, oh, I don't have such a good story because, I only did 6 deals last year. That's huge. Really, like most agents did diddly squat. Most agents do 2 or 3 deals a year, right? Look at NAR numbers. So I don't want people to sort of feel like that's a barrier because all you gotta do is number one, put it in ChatGPT. If you want a warm, fuzzy feeling, just ask ChatGPT to make you feel good about yourself and like, give it your data and it'll be like, oh, you're amazing, right? So
once you have like the stat of what you've done, talking further about those that maybe haven't had enough closings or they don't feel good about saying the number of closings that they had, then talk about the effort. I hosted 400 open houses in the year 2024. Yes. This is what I learned.
Huge. And I'm going to knock on 50 doors today. Follow me as I knock on 50 doors today. Like that's a big deal, man. So and then you add 500, you do it 10 days in a row. So yeah, it's huge.
100%. And get the stats from that. Like look at how many opened the door, how many did you end up having an appointment with? And then that's a YouTube video. Like literally it starts with me. I'm a big believer of like, you can only really teach on what you have done, or what you're currently learning right now. But that's like, maybe that's a mental block that I have, but I just don't feel comfortable saying, hey, I know how to teach you how to make $1 million a year. I can't right now. I haven't done that yet, but I can teach you how to make 300K. So
it's like, what Hermosi said, it's like, people have this, what's it called? Imposter syndrome. He's like, the only reason you have an imposter syndrome is if you're an imposter. It's like,
Yes.
you know, I mean, you shouldn't have an imposter syndrome because just do what you said you do. You will have an audience. Just do what you said you do or what you're in the process of doing, and you'll never be an imposter. You'll never have the imposter syndrome. So
yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, you can outwork the imposter feeling by working, by just doing more.
being who you exactly.
Yeah. So after I had the stats, so it would be YouTube, 100% YouTube, making videos from the stats that you have and the stats that you plan on doing. But I think it'd be better if it's like past stats, even if it's effort based. If you don't have closings yet, make it effort based. So I would make one video a week minimum.
What's ideal though?
Form.
We're talking about you and seeing the success that you want to see in 90 days. You're not doing one video. How many would you do?
I would do 3, but that's like if you're focused 100% on recruiting. Like if you're not focused on transactions, do 3 videos, long form videos a week. By long form, if you're going to be doing 3, I'd probably do like 5-minute long to 12-minute long, somewhere in between there, and make sure that that's a good video. First of all, the sound is more important than the camera, and I would have like an editor. There are cheap editors out in the Philippines. You can do that, and then post it with making sure that you have the call to action in there. Don't have the call to action all the way at the very, very end of the video because chances are people never really watch that far. So interweave it with your story in the middle of your video. Just have it sound natural. Like it just be yourself because your people will then follow. If you're just like salesy and like this and, you know, like join me at EXP, like gross, turn that commercial off, you know? Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So we're going to do three videos. We're going to document the success or document the actual activity to get there. Create the call to action, make the landing page, and then take the meetings, follow all the steps, the 3-step formula in the meeting. I think that's it. You do that, you should be all right. Is that what you're saying?
100%. Yes. Yes.
I love it. I love it. Well, Allie, thank you so much. This has been an absolutely incredible, maybe one of my top interviews of all time. You're so much fun. You're awesome.
You're just saying that.
No,
Tony.
I promise you I'm not. I've been doing these all the time. So don't tell the others. Anyways, it was awesome hanging out with you. It was awesome hanging out with you. Any words of wisdom to sort of wrap it all up, encapsulate everything before we check out for today?
If you have any questions, you can check out my channel. You know, like you can, if you want any inspiration, there are definitely others. It's Allie the Agent, of course. It's Allie the Agent.
That's everywhere. Allie the Agent on Insta, Allie the Agent on YouTube, Allie the Agent. And no, it's just Allie on Skool, right? Skool.com/Allie.
Yep.
Love it. Thank you so much, Allie. It's been an absolute pleasure. And man, you dropped some bombs. Thank you again for participating in this. Thanks. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
You too.